Howdy do, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome aboard, episode 226.
That's the one.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the Doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. And I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect. But actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator. I could retire and do that.
I'm the Doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Howdy do, Who fans. Hope you're well, and that you've had a cracking week, and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related. Indeedy.
Yeah.
Indeedy. Another quiet week, mate.
It's a bit quiet, isn't it?
Yes.
Quiet, rattling
Very
around
quiet.
the old TARDIS like Susan in The Edge of Destruction, just rattling around.
Yeah, not doing much. Got plenty of merch coming up this week, though.
Well, yeah, we have got some good merch this week, yeah.
Which is pretty good.
Mm.
And then on to our review of Closing Time. Closing Time.
What was that?
You know, the song Closing Time.
I didn't get it from that. No,
you didn't get it from my amazing vocals then?
Couldn't name that tune in two, no.
I've forgotten the band. It was out back in the 90s, I think. It was a very popular song at the time.
Yeah. No, I probably do know, but yeah, they don't use it in the episode. So.
Unfortunately, no. It's by Semisonic.
Oh, yeah. I remember them.
Yeah.
Blimey. That is a wow. Where the hell did you dig that one up from?
Wow. The brain is
I do
big
remember them. Yeah.
Yeah, some interesting thoughts on Closing Time, buddy.
Yeah, so it's not one I've gone back. I've watched, because it's a kind of sequel to Lodger, isn't it? And I've watched The Lodger a lot more over the years than Closing Time. So it was quite interesting going back to this one and just to see how it sort of fits in with that and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise, fairly light on news. Good merch. I haven't been up to anything, but I've got some cool sort of facts to go through in a second. But you've been up to, you've been on another podcast, haven't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I guested on the Master Whovians podcast last week, and it's just me and two other guys, Dan and Pete, and it was really cool. We were just randomly waffling on about anything really. It was a very sort of laid back podcast, and we just talked about how we got into Doctor Who, our first memories of it. We talked a bit about the 50th and Stephen Moffat and all that sort of stuff, and conventions and who we'd met. Yeah, it was really good actually. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, I
listened to it just after it went out. It was it's a very good listen.
Pete said he wanted to be the new Gary, and I told him he couldn't do that unless he grew a beard, because me and you have both got very cool beards. So yeah, he's gonna have to grow a beard if he wants to do that.
Yes, it's almost mandatory.
It is, yeah.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. But yours used to be more of a stubble, but you've gone full grizzly now. You have been for a while as well, haven't you?
Yeah, for a few years now. I've had the old
grizzle beard.
The old grizzle beard, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. I like it.
But so do I.
I was going to say, just going to plug the Master Whovians podcast. So I think yours was the second one they put out, right? Episode 2?
It was indeed, yeah. They've only just started, yeah.
Yes. So I think at the moment it's going out on YouTube, I think. That's where I listen to it.
Yeah, they're trying to find a way to put it on, because it's. I remember when you first started your podcast and I was going to do one, and we were saying, like, how do you get it onto, you have to sort of sign up to like Podbean and things like that, don't you? I can't remember now. It's not as easy as you'd think to get a podcast onto iTunes. You have to sort of go through a process. So they're looking into that, but it's on YouTube at the minute. Yeah.
Yes, it's very cool. So if you head over to YouTube and do a search for Mondas Musings, or
that's the one,
Master Whovians, you can check that out. It's a cool little show. Yeah.
They're really, really cool guys. And as I said, they've only just got going, and it was fun. I enjoyed doing that.
Good.
Master Whovians, cool guys. I haven't really been up to much else. I had a couple of charity shop finds the other day. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
So you know, the days of going into a charity shop and getting a book for 25p have gone, haven't they? There's this charity shops are more like charity shops are turning into sort of antique shops now, because basically they go online and check the price of things, and so you don't get stuff cheap really from them anymore. So I went into town, and I was actually went to try and get the new Doctor Who figurine issue, because they've done the Chief Clown from Greatest Show, and I thought he doesn't sound terribly exciting as a figure, but then I saw a picture of him and he looks absolutely brilliant. They've done a really good job on him, so I was like, oh, I'll go and see if they've got that. They didn't have it, so I was like, no. So I just sort of thought I'll have a bit of a wander around then, as I've come all the way into town. So I had a wander around. I went into Oxfam, and they'd got a couple of Doctor Who books on the shelf, and they do from time to time get Doctor Who books, but they're normally Target books and ones I've got. But they had a couple of really sought after ones that even I haven't got, and they had Power of the Daleks and Damaged Goods by Russell T Davies.
Damaged Goods, cool.
Yeah, now I've been after that for absolutely ages, and it goes for about 30 quid roughly on eBay, and so does Power of the Daleks. So they, I was thinking that's why I've never bought them, because I don't really want to pay that for a book. Anyway, I opened them. I thought, I couldn't believe they were on the shelf. I was like, oh my gosh, wonder how much they are. I'm almost frightened to look. I opened the page, and Damaged Goods was 25 quid, and I thought, oh no, I can't. I just haven't got that money at the minute. And I thought, I'll put that back. How much is Power? Power was 15. I thought, still a bit too much, but it's, again, it's like Power on its own is, I think the cheapest I could find on eBay was 35.
Right.
So sort of looking at them for ages. I kept picking them up, putting them back. And the thing was, they were in really good condition as well. They were like, obviously whoever had donated them had them in his collection and really looked after them. And I kept thinking as well, like, who's given these away? Like, what Doctor Who fan would ever give these two books away? Because of what they are, sort of thing. Anyway, long story short, I chatted with because the thing is, you're in a charity shop, so you don't want to haggle. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a charity shop. So awkward. You're like, it's not, it's awkward, because I kept thinking, should I ask if they can do a deal if I buy the two, or should I ask if can do them cheaper? But it's a blimmin' charity shop. So I was in there for ages, mate, and I got chatting to the woman, and I just played it. I was like, I'd like these, but I don't think I can really afford them. And she's like, let me see if Brian can do them any. Would you? Okay. So she offered. So I was like, okay, she's offered. So she went off, and they were like, well, we've looked online, you see, and they are this much. And I was like, I'm not surprised. And she said, but we'll do you a bit of a deal. So they did knock off a bit of money for me, so I got both in the end, because I thought I'm just going to buy one because I can only really afford one. But she said, you want the other one, don't you? I said, yeah, I want them both. She goes, go on, we'll do you a deal. So did me a little deal, and got them a bit cheaper. So still paid money that I really haven't got them in it, but there's no way I could have left that shop and not got them. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd never see them. I don't think I'd ever see them again in that condition for that price. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, I had to get them. Just need to find time to read them now. Pete on the podcast that I was on was teasing me. He's like, you buy all these books and they just sit on your shelf. I'm like, I know, but I love reading and I love books. But yeah, I do have quite a lot. I've got a backlog at the minute. So yeah, I was quite chuffed for that. But Imagine if I'd opened it and it had been 25p though. I'd have been like, can you do this for 20p? No. Can you do this for 15p? No, but you just, yeah, I was happy enough anyway. I went for a cheeky Wetherspoons pie afterwards and was just sat there looking at them thinking, I'm really pleased I got these. Yeah. Just can't afford to eat anything for the rest of the week, but I'm really pleased I got these books.
Sometimes that's the sacrifice needed.
It's being a Doctor Who fan is not cheap, is it? Even in charity shops.
Not at all.
It's not a cheap thing. Yeah. Not a cheap thing. Thank goodness I'm not a cosplayer.
Oh, crikey. Yeah.
Can you imagine? I'd be like remortgaging the house, I think. Because like my mate Reese is a cosplayer. He buys all the screen accurate stuff. And man, the money some of these things are. Like he paid, I can't remember how much it was now. Probably shouldn't say in case his mum's listening. But he paid a lot. He showed me this T-shirt that Capaldi wore, and it's just like a white T-shirt. And I was like, oh yeah, it's not a nice T-shirt. And he told me how much he paid for it. And I honestly can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was in the hundred. It was a couple of few hundred. I think it might be 500 quid or something. And I was like, you paid that for a T-shirt? And I've got to admit, it made me feel a lot better about spending £15 on a book. I was just saying, yeah, thank goodness I'm not a cosplayer.
Yeah, that can get very pricey. I looked into a couple of years ago. I wanted to cosplay as either 10 or 5. 10 or McCoy. I wanted to cosplay as. And when I priced up the cost of the Tennant costume to get a decent one, I'm talking about, not like the not so good. Oh, they're okay. Like the BBC put an official Tennant coat out, didn't they?
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah,
I don't know, 80 quid or something like that, but it's not very good. So to get a proper brown suit with the shirt, the proper tie and the coat and everything, I think it came out as, I don't know, £800 or something all in all.
I can believe it, because the thing is with Tennant is, and I know this from, again, talking to my cosplay mates, it's the ties. If you want a screen accurate Tennant tie, you can end up paying a fortune just for the tie. And whereas the brown stripy suit, you can probably find one that looks good enough, for a decent price. But yeah, you try and find those ties.
Nightmare.
I've always liked the idea of cosplay, and for me, I'd probably go with McCoy, because he's quite an easy one for me to do. You know, I've got the jumper, white shirt, grey trousers. You know what I mean? And I've got the brolly as well, question mark brolly. Still one of my favourite things, actually. I love that brolly. So yeah, I'd probably do a 7th cosplay. For me, it's just that I don't know. Whenever I go out, I don't know. I've never really had the guts to do the full cosplay thing, really. You know.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I'm quite a casual guy anyway. I mean, I always look like I've just sort of got up and got dressed into. I'm just quite a casual dresser, but yeah, I wouldn't mind doing it. Maybe one day I'll do the cosplay.
Yeah, me too. I think for me though, it's I'm just one of these people that if I'm going to do it, I want to do it properly, but that means like a lot of expense. So I think I've just gone onto their website actually. The company that I looked at a couple of years back, they're called Magnoli Clothiers.
Yes, I know them, yeah.
You know them, they're over in the US. So I got my pricings a little bit wrong here actually. So the suit on its own, the brown suit, is $575.
Ooh.
And then the coat, the brown coat, is $695. And then the shirt is $135, the tie $60. So I think when you add it all up and you convert it to pounds, it's probably more $1,000 you're looking at.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Yeah, so...
And see, the other thing, and this, I swear this is true, it's going to sound ridiculous, but the other reason I don't, like, you know, if we go to conventions and stuff, the other reason I don't cosplay is because I'm so fussy and OCD. I know, and you'll back me up on this, because it happened last time we were at the LFCC. I know that I'll spill something down my top. I just know that every time we go out, if it's not a pint of beer or ketchup from a hot dog or something, and it will just absolutely bug me for I'll never get the stain out. And I know it's a really silly reason, but you know what I'm like. Like when we went to LCC, we hadn't been in that pub for 2 minutes, had we? And I'd spilled ketchup down my T-shirt. And thank goodness I'd brought a spare.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I've just got visions of me, like, you know, doing the full 7th Doctor cosplay, dressed into the night. Yes, you know, looking really cool. And then going down the pub and spilling ketchup all down that lovely question mark top, because that's exactly what I'd do. So that's the other reason I don't cosplay. And that is true.
Yeah, it's a genuine...
even though it probably sounds ridiculous, it's true, because I'm just so blimmin' clumsy.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. I haven't been up to much. The only thing I did, I was in a bit of a Davison mood the other day, so I did watch Caves of Androzani. I haven't seen that one in a while.
Oh, no, nor have I, actually, yeah.
That was good catching up with that. A couple of articles that are really cool went out on the website the last couple of days, so go and check those out. The first one by Maria was a really good article about David Tennant. How much of a cool guy. It's not just about Doctor Who, but just David Tennant in general. That's a really good read. And our other writer, Mark, put out a really cool article about the Leisure Hive.
Yes.
So go and check those two out. They're on the homepage of the website. Very, very cool.
I've noticed a lot of people giving Leisure Hive some love recently. Since the season 18 came out, I think a lot of people have reevaluated it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm one of them. I've watched the extras on it. I haven't actually gone back and watched the story yet. It's not one of my favourites, but I'm really looking forward to actually watching that series from the start all the way through in order, which is what I'm planning to do soon, actually. Now I've watched all the extras. Because I've seen them all so many times, I thought I'll start with the new stuff. I'll start with the new extras and then go back and watch the episodes. And probably sounds like the wrong way around of doing it, but yeah, I'm hoping that next time I watch Leisure Hive, that I sort of find it better than I remember, if you like. Because a few people seem to have done that.
Yeah, it seems to be a thing. Well, that's just the awesomeness of those box sets. If it gets you back into watching those things again and reevaluating, it's really good.
Yeah. I haven't. I've been slightly putting off watching Macra Terror again because obviously I saw it at the BFI, but I know that we're going to review it fairly soon, and so I'm sort of thinking, right, I'll watch that again when we get to do the review. So I haven't watched any of the extras on that either because I know they've got the new little 10-minute animation of Wheel in Space, haven't they, on there?
That's
which
right.
Apparently it's really cool. So I've got all those extras as well that I still haven't watched yet, so that's something I should do in the next couple of weeks, I think.
Yes, I still need to watch it, mate.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. I thought, well, I know we're going to review it, so I'm thinking, well, I'll hold off because obviously I've watched it once at the BFI, but I'll hold off until the week we do it, and then it's going to be really interesting actually to find your thoughts on that one. But that's in the future.
In the future, yeah.
Yeah.
And some quick stats for you. This is another we seem to have a lot of these, but another coincidence for you. We're recording this on Wednesday, the 3rd of April. And this time 9 years ago, on the 3rd of April 2010, Matt Smith's very first story was broadcast, 11th hour.
Oh, really?
This day, 9 years ago.
Wow.
Yep. If you were sitting on the sofa at 6:20 on a Saturday, you would have had an awesome evening.
I went to a screening. I went to, I can't remember who organised it. I don't know if it was Dwas. I don't think it was actually. Yeah, no, it might have been Dwas. Anyway, I went to they did a screening in a pub of it where they put it on a big screen in the city in London. And because the city is always dead at the weekends in London. It's always really quiet. And so it's a really cool pub. And I just remember that we were all there waiting for it to start and the sound was really low. And then the new theme kicked in. Everyone was going crazy, but no one could hear it. It's like really low. And everyone's like, turn it up, turn it up. It's like massive stereo. Oh my God, we've come all this way to watch it on the big screen and no one can hear it. It went crackers. But that was really cool. I remember that was a great day actually. And here's a chap from Brain and Morbius. I've forgotten his name. He was there as well, doing
Maddock?
a little sign. Philip Maddock, yeah. And I asked him what he thought of it, and he said it was very good, but too quick. He said the pacing was too quick, but he really enjoyed it. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, he was awesome actually. He had the little Morbius creature figure in his pocket as well, which I liked. Yeah, nice guy. But that was that's where I was. I can't remember the name of the pub, but how typical for me to be in a pub watching the Doctor Who. But that's where I was.
That's unlike you. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember absolutely loving it as well. I remember just the style had changed quite a lot. I thought. I remember just thinking it looked, like Stephen put his stamp on it, didn't he?
Yes.
Right from the word go, I think, in terms of the look, the redesign of the TARDIS. Matt's Doctor, I instantly took to. I do genuinely mean that as well. I really liked him straight from that first episode. I thought it was wonderful actually, and so it was a good start to series, to Matt's era. I think 11th hour. Yeah. And
this was just on the, I suppose, the eve of me getting into Doctor Who. I think because
I was thinking that. Yeah.
I think it was 2 or 3 weeks after this that I watched my first.
Was it Beast Below your first one?
Yeah, I still can't remember what the first one was. I know it was. I think it was somewhere between 3 and 5 episodes into series 5. I jumped on board, but yeah, 11th Hour, good story.
It is a good one, yeah. I still enjoy that as well. When I go back to it, I still enjoy watching that.
And also, we're a day late on this one, but yesterday, 2nd of April, season 14 came to a close with the final episode of Talons.
Oh, really?
Yes, at 6:30. 6:30, 2nd of April, Talons of Weng Chiang wrapped up, closing out season 14.
Well, I wasn't in a pub for that one. I don't think I was even born, actually. What year is Talons? Do you know?
1977.
Oh, I was born just, but
I wasn't. Yeah.
No, I was too young to be in a pub though.
Maybe.
Unless my parents took me there in a pram, which wouldn't surprise me.
Yes, that's interesting as well that both of those stories went out roughly 6:30. If you fast forward to nowadays, it's all over the bloody place.
Oh, yeah. Was it Series 9 that used to just be on at any random time? It's like it's 9:30 one night and 6:30 the next. It's all,
over the place, wasn't it? Yeah.
Actually, that might be a slight exaggeration, but it was, yeah, it was all like kicked around like a football, wasn't it?
Yes, no consistency.
No.
So there we go. That's what's been happening in the world of Doctor Who and with us. Shall we land the TARDIS and do a wee bit of news? So the first and only bit of news for this week, and it's a pretty good one, that Doctor Who has been nominated for a BAFTA.
Very prestigious.
Which is always good, in the category of must-see moment in 2018. And this is from the episode Rosa, and it's the part where Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus in Alabama. And I remember this getting a lot of praise, didn't it, when this first went out?
Yes.
This episode, Rosa. It was, in my opinion, one of the better ones from series
11.
11, sorry. Yep. And I remember getting a lot of praise, and rightly so. I mean, it's for a must-see moment. It was very, very. It had been at this point in the episode. It had been built up and up and up, hadn't it? And it was very tense and emotional and stuff. So it was very cool. So it's it's up for that award, and it goes up against an assassination scene in the program The Bodyguard. It goes up against a monologue of Gale from Coronation Street about the suicide of Aidan Connor. And also Killing Eve.
Love Killing Eve.
Eve stabs Villanelli. I hope I'm saying that right. And also the finale of Peter Kay's Car Share.
Gosh, it's good, isn't it? It's quite a different. Everything's different in there. It's quite a
bit of variety in there.
Good selection, yeah. Good variety, yeah.
So the awards ceremony is on the 1st of May, and it's the only award out of all of the other awards that is being voted by the public. Which is good. So if you want to vote for this, if you want to get your votes in for this bit in Rosa, you need to head over to the Virgin, because it's sponsored by Virgin Media. You need to go over to the Virgin Media website and cast your vote. I'll put a link in the show notes to it. But if you go to keepup.virgin.com/BAFTA, you should be able to find it on there somewhere. And they've got various sections as you go through the website. And then about halfway down, you will see their Doctor Who and a big Vote Now button. So you know what you need to do.
It was a good moment, that. I do remember, thinking that was a strong moment. And it's a good episode. I like Rosa. I think the only bad thing I can think about it was that a lot of people picked up that the villain was a bit meh in that, but it was a good story, and that was a particular standout moment, I think.
Oh yeah, the time traveling
escapee
racist
to be honest,
person.
they really kind of didn't even really need him in it, actually. But yes, and people were talking about it. I remember being in the car the next day, and just on the radio, some random woman just saying, "Oh, did you watch Doctor Who last night? It was brilliant." And I thought, this is, I haven't heard anyone talk about Doctor Who on the radio for a while, just genuinely because they enjoyed it. Do you know what I mean? It was quite a nice moment. It felt like it was a bit sort of back in the public eye a bit more again. So, yeah, it's a good moment to pick. I hope it does well. I do love Killing Eve as well. I'm a bit torn there, but obviously my loyalties lie with Doctor Who.
Yes, I was about to say, your vote needs to go to a certain time travel.
Obviously, I wouldn't even question it, but so certainly wouldn't consider giving it to Coronation Street, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely, mate. Yeah,
definitely
Crikey.
not. No.
So get your votes in. Let's get behind this. Let's get Doctor Who. Let's bag another award, because we've already bagged a couple this year so far, haven't we? We've covered a couple of them, some sort of smaller ceremonies. I think Russell T Davies was there with the writer of Rosa for something else, and there was another one. So let's keep the train going.
Absolutely.
Only bit of news. So let's crack on with our metal friend, who's been a bit quiet of late.
Yes.
I don't know what's wrong with him. I think the same thing for all of us, really. There's no new substantial stuff to get our teeth into for any upcoming Doctor Who. It's a bit quiet out there. So anyway.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Big Finish.
Yay. Just redecorated their website, haven't they?
They have, yeah. It looks very nice.
Does look nice, yeah.
Very nice indeed. Yes, they are bringing the... they're going to wrap up the latest series of the 8th Doctor Adventures at some point later in the year, October, with the Ravenous 4 box set. And what caught my eye for this one, because we don't cover every single Big Finish release, so it's, there's loads of them. But what caught my eye for this one was the multiple masters thing that they're going to end with, which sounds very cool. And it's kind of, by the sound of it, the description, it's all going to come to a big battle, this big epic battle with the 8th Doctor, Paul McGann, and his companions facing off against several incarnations of the Master. So I'm going to read a bit of blurb here for you. So Michelle Gomez, Derek Jacobi, Jeffrey Beavers, and Eric Roberts all return to the role of the Master / Missy for the finale of the collected 8th Doctor range Ravenous, which sounds really good. Paul McGann and Eric Roberts obviously faced off in the Doctor Who movie. And we know that, where Michelle Gomez, Missy, and the Master came in for Derek Jacobi, those sort of incarnations. But you give it a bit of blurb on the story itself. So Day of the Master, this is from the writer, by the way, John Dorney. He says, Day of the Master was possibly the most exciting yet terrifying brief I've ever had. Finishing off the Ravenous arc was a big enough responsibility of its own, but throw in wanting to give great material to Sir Derek Jacobi, Michelle Gomez, and that's before we even got to the heart-stoppingly fantastic prospect of bringing Eric Roberts' Master back, face-to-face with the Doctor again for the first time in over 20 years. Well, you can see why it might be intimidating, but honestly, it was one of the best times I've ever had writing a Doctor Who story. I really hope the audience enjoy it as much as I did.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, I think that I need to jump on the Ravenous train because I haven't heard the previous ones yet.
Ah, right, okay.
In preparation for this, because we've said many times over the years that Paul McGann is brilliant, as they all are with Big Finish. But he's had some particularly good... I would say he's like the master of the box set for Big Finish.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Because the other Doctors, they seemed... I mean, back in the day, I think he was part of the main range, wasn't he? So they did used to churn out sort of...
Oh, his ones with Lucy Miller were brilliant.
Very good, yeah. But some of his box sets that have been out over the years seem to have just done extremely well. So the Dark Eyes box set, as an example. And
yeah, that's really good.
What's the other one?
Doom Coalition,
yeah. So and now the Ravenous story. So Paul McGann's really good at these. They should get Stephen Moffat on these,
yeah,
because he loves his sort of long story arcs, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Paul McGann seems very well suited to these big arcs of Big Finish. So anyway, Ravenous 4, it's out in October. You can get it for the usual prices. So Ravenous 3, incidentally, is out in April. And that's up for pre-order now. Both of them, anyway, you can get them for £23 on CD or £20 on download, which is quite good. And one thing I must mention, because one of our followers sent me something on Twitter the other day, I can't remember who it was, just to let you know, if you're not in the UK, Big Finish have changed the price of their international orders a little bit. I think it's something to do with a lot of people set up false accounts in other countries. In the UK, so they can get because what happens is normally if Big Finish goes out for $14.99 in terms of dollars, it's the same in pounds. So what they do is they set up a overseas account, and then the exchange rate makes it cheaper, obviously. So if that makes sense. So
how cheeky.
Yeah, very cheeky. So they're going to change it slightly. So just be aware, if you're ordering from outside the UK, the prices are going to fluctuate just a little bit. I think it's from this month. I could be wrong, but I think so. But just something to bear in mind. Anyway, it's not going to change by a lot, put it that way. So are you up for this, mate? Because you haven't listened to the other Ravenous, or have you?
No, I've got them. I only recently finished off Doom Coalition, actually, which was good. It was a bit of a mixed bag, but overall it was good. I've got Ravenous 1 and 2, and obviously I've got pre-order Ravenous 3. I'll definitely get the 4th to bring it full circle. I'm really chuffed that they've got Eric Roberts back as well. I just wish he was more prominent on the cover. I'm really surprised that, because it's quite a big thing, I think, to get 8 and his master back. So I'm quite surprised that he's just tucked in the corner there, looking all sad. But yeah, I'm definitely going to get this. I noticed Eric Roberts has been doing a couple of UK cons as well.
Indeed.
So maybe he's getting more into that, which would be cool, because my friend Callum met him literally a couple of weeks ago, and he just said he was brilliant. He said he was so friendly, and he got a couple of pictures with him, and he looked like he was having a blast, mate.
Cool.
He's literally like really smiley, doing all the pointing, and he just looked really into it. So yeah, I think it's great he's doing a Big Finish. I hope we get some more. Well, 8 and Eric Roberts, or even Eric Roberts with different doctors if they. No, I don't suppose they can, but I don't know. Big Finish seems to be able to do anything, don't they? So yeah,
it should be good. Yeah,
it should be good. So yeah, I'll definitely get this. Definitely.
Maybe he's ramping up for his return as the Master in Series 12.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, so that's that, mate, with Big Finish.
I was thinking. Sorry, you saying that. I was thinking the other day. I would love to see the 13th Doctor go up against Missy, because I was thinking Missy would destroy her, wouldn't she? Because I don't know. So we were getting into that old debate about her not being strong enough as the Doctor, and I was thinking if there's anybody that's going to really make her up her game, I think it'd be putting the 13th against Michelle Gomez. I think she'd have to really step up against Missy, wouldn't she? Because otherwise Missy would tear the 13th Doctor apart.
Yes, well, let's be honest.
The way she's playing it at the minute. Can you imagine the 13th? Because the 13th Doctor she gets very scared by everything, doesn't she? She seems really worried about it. She doesn't walk into a room and take charge. She always seems to be, oh God, I'm really sorry, I've got to get that. I'm thinking, you put her up against Missy, she's going to have to bring it.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate.
So I'd quite like to see that.
We're being honest. I'm not saying that Jodie's Doctor wasn't challenged too much, but let's face it, we had no big classic monsters really, apart from that one Dalek story. No master incarnations, no, none of that stuff. So that would be good. Yeah, for sure.
I think it would be awesome. Yeah, I hope they do. I'd love to see that. I don't know. We probably won't see it in Series 12, but it'd be cool if we did. Just a thought. Anyway, on to other merch news. This is kind of cool, and something I didn't know really, that we never got a Doctor Who annual in the year 1972. So apparently,
where were you? Why didn't you notice that?
I don't know. Actually, I wasn't born. Liminick. I'm not that old. And so I didn't. I mean, I used to sort of go, but I've gone back and collected some of the annuals, that were released before I was born, and because I love the artwork and stuff in these.
Beautiful.
But World's distributors that published them from 1965 to 1985, for some reason, we don't know why, they didn't bring one out in 1971, which would have been the 1972 annual, obviously. So Mark Wogan, who's like a lifelong fan of the series, and the annuals, he's decided to do something about this. So he's kind of put together, he got in touch with some of the people that were involved, because this would have been the Pertwee era. It would have been, I think it was Pertwee's second series, was it?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah, it was. Pertwee would have just finished his second series if the annual would have gone out. So he's taken that into account. So it'll be like a third Doctor annual, and he's got people like Katie Manning, John Levine, Richard Franklin to all contribute to this. He's also got some great artists as well. So Mike Tucker's come in and written a story, I think. Alistair Pearson, the artist, has done some of the artwork. So he's got, a lot of people that were really involved in the annuals anyway, or, from that era and stuff, and put together what could be the 1972 annual. I think, if I understand this right, it's kind of a non-profit making thing, or if it is, it's kind of a very limited profit making thing. I think most of the cost is going towards getting these printed, right? So it's a print on demand thing. So basically you buy one and then they print one up for you, and it's quite a bumper edition. I think it's 184 pages. So an annual back then would have been about 80 pages. So it's over twice the size of what an annual would have been. So it's quite a bumper thing. And it does look really cool. We got some pictures from it and stuff. And as I said, good contributors to it. The price wise, okay, a little pricey, but I think it's a nice collector's piece. But if you want one printed, it's £39.20 plus shipping costs.
Yeah, plus VAT.
Plus VAT. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess this comes down to, how much of a classic Who fan, and if you're a collector of the annuals and whatnot. But I mean, for me personally, I don't see that this is an expensive piece because it's such a big, thick edition. And it won't be around forever, will it? It will be one of those, they just won't do it at some point. It will just stop.
I think it's a really nice thing. Yeah, it's definitely a collector's piece. And as I said, I'm looking at some of the cover and that for it. It does look really nice, because initially when I saw the price, I was like, oh, bit pricey, but then I was thinking, they're just basically covering the printing costs and I don't know, whatever else they have to pay to get it produced. So I don't know. I think overall it would be something I'd like. Yeah, it's quite a nice thing. Yeah. So with the tax and the shipping and so on, I think it takes it up to about £50. Oh well, okay.
Yeah, so I think it's like £47 with the VAT and then whatever the shipping is going to be. So it, like you said, it's definitely not cheap. It's not one of those. Because I think the annuals at the moment, especially the newer ones, it's been out over the last 10 years, especially, you can get them for like £2 in WH Smith, or can't you?
Yeah.
However, this is a very unique kind of one. I think there was a mention in the blurb somewhere that, there are some other manuals that are missing, like in the late 80s.
Right.
That they could possibly look at if this is successful. I'm not sure, but it's definitely one to look at as a one-off piece and a one-off collector's item, as you said. Yep.
Yeah, definitely a collector's item. Yeah, I've just seen that bit, actually. Yeah, so it says, but what of the years 1987 to 89, for which, once again, no official annuals were forthcoming? No, they were. So that's the McCoy era. Yeah, so no, that is, that's never really sort of dawned on me, because I've got, as I said, quite a few of the annuals. No McCoy annual. Really? I'd love a McCoy annual. I'm sure I've got like a yearbook with the Remembrance Dalekon or something like that. I'm sure I have.
Well, here's the thing. This seems to be getting some traction because they're after contributors and proofreaders, as well as an admin for the Facebook page for the 1987 missing annual.
Ah, right. Cool.
So that could be cool.
Yeah.
But yes, the 1972 annual is out now. I'll put a link in the show notes to it. If I would say for people who collect the annuals, this is a must.
Yeah, and have a look at the actual thing. Gary put a link. Have a look at the actual product. I know it sounds a bit pricey, but just have a look at it, because when there's loads of blurb about it, which take for ages to read. But go and have a look at the link, because it's it looks pretty good actually.
Yes, no, it does. Yes. Right, moving on. Robert Harrop.
Hey, what are they up to?
They've released their second Doctor figurine in the black and white / monochrome edition.
Yes.
Which looks very nice.
Very limited. Only 100 pieces.
Only 100. Yeah. Did you catch the normal statue of the Second Doctor, the colour version?
Yeah, I've got the colour version. Yeah.
Looks very nice. Yep.
He does, actually. I know a lot of people, he comes in for a lot of criticism about the face. I mean, we've said that about the Doctor figures. It's very hard for him to facially get them right. But out of all of them, I think the Second Doctor's the best one that they've done in terms of the Doctors. Yeah, I really like him. And I tell you, I honestly say this hand on heart. The figure, when you have it in hand, looks so much better. It just doesn't seem to photograph well. And believe me, I know. When I was trying to take pictures of it when I got mine, I must have taken, I don't know how many photos of it trying to get him to look good. Because I was thinking people are just, because you know how harsh people are on social media. As soon as you post anything, you get, oh, who's that? Is it Parker from Thunderbirds? Is it Noel Gallagher? And it's like, oh God, but he really looks good in hand. But yeah, but I haven't got any of the monochrome ones, and I think they've done a couple of these. I'm not sure.
They have already. Yes,
it's a nice idea, isn't it? I quite like it, but I don't know. As I've got the colour one, I probably won't get him as well. How much is he? Do you know?
I think he's £60 or £65.
Right.
Yeah. Not too bad.
I'm going to save my money for the next one they've got coming out, Omega, who looks absolutely amazing.
Omega and Morbius.
And Morbius, I'm going to save my money for them because I've already got Pat. So
yeah. So as Adam said, very limited this one, only 100 pieces. So head over to Robert Harrop website, robertharrop.com, and bag this if this is your cup of tea. It looks very good.
Cool. Right, coming out on the 4th of May, it's Comic Book Day. This seems to come around really quickly. Comic Book Day again.
Yeah.
I've missed a word out there. The best word of all as well. Free. Free Comic Book Day 2019 is on the Saturday, the 4th of May. And there is going to be an exclusive Forbidden Planet Doctor Who cover for one of them, which of course has got our new Doctor on it, the 13th Doctor. Quite a nice cover, actually. It's quite simple, isn't it? It's just the Doctor with the TARDIS kind of floating around in the background there. But yeah, it's nice to get. Actually, is this the finished thing? I remember last year they did a cheeky thing of putting a cover up, and then when they unveiled the actual thing, I think it had the other Doctors on it. But anyway, either way, they're going to get an exclusive Doctor Who comic at Forbidden Planet for that day. So nice if you can get up there and get one, I should think.
Very cool, mate. Yeah. It's free comic day. It's on May the 4th.
May the 4th, that's it. What did I say?
No,
did I say something different? Oh, right.
Just reconfirming, May the 4th.
Yeah, May the 4th be with you, yeah.
Yeah, so what they do is they give you like a little goodie bag, essentially, which has got a bunch of free comics in it and stuff. It's very cool. So I think this year, the information they've put on the Forbidden Planet website says you can discover or rediscover characters from Stranger Things, The Avengers, Spider-Man, Robotech, and more. So yeah, I quite like the cover for this, mate. It looks, it's got a nice kind of style to it.
Yeah, I think it's all right actually. And it actually looks like Jodie because some of them they sort of take artistic liberties, don't they? I think some of the covers they did for issue 1, they did 13 variants, didn't they? And some of them look really good. And then there were some I was thinking, that doesn't look anything like Jodie, but this one does. I can actually, there's a good resemblance to her.
Yeah. So the cover artist was Jessica Martin.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. What? As in Jessica Martin from Greatest Show in the Galaxy? I bet it is. If it is her, that does make me more. I'd definitely like to get it if it's her.
Yeah, because she had a stall at Comic-Con last year, didn't she? And she showed some of her Who artwork, which was really nice.
Oh, do you know, I hadn't noticed that. I'm glad you pointed that out because I hadn't even noticed it was her. That's very cool then. Definitely need to get one now.
Yeah, I'm not saying it is her, but I think, it's definitely a massive coincidence if not. But I know she does a lot of comic artwork, so I think it is. Yeah.
It's too much of a coincidence. It must be.
I know it is. It's definitely. I'm on her Instagram page now. It definitely is. Yeah,
brilliant.
And this is her first ever color cover for Titan Comics.
That's cool. What was the character? Is it Mags? No.
Yeah, it was Mags from Greatest Show.
Yeah, Greatest Show. Oh, how cool.
Yeah, nice one. And I imagine, I'm hoping she'll have another stall at this year's Comic-Con so we can, go and get a signed one maybe.
Yeah, that would be good.
So Free Comic Book Day, Saturday the 4th of May. Get to your whatever local Forbidden Planet is.
Mm.
Yeah. Right, that's got to do for merch. Review time, bud.
Yes, indeed.
What we got?
So, 11th Doctor story. Craig's back. It's, I was going to say the 11th hour. It's closing time.
One last trip, eh?
Hello, Craig. I'm back.
Doctor, what are you doing here?
Social call. It was about time I tried one out. I'm the doctor. I work in a shop now.
You've noticed something and you're investigating it, and because it's you, it's going to be dangerous and alien.
My time is running out.
And this is where it begins. Tick tock, and all too soon, your love will surely die.
What is that? Help me! No! Doctor! Craig!
Delete!
Dun, 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 dun. I love that piece of music. I know it's overplayed in Matt Smith's era, but I bloody love it.
Yeah.
Tell you what else I was listening to yesterday was from Series 3. Do you remember This Is Gallifrey?
Oh, that's a great piece of music.
I'm sad, though.
Why?
Because that's the music that they played when you went to the Doctor Who experience in Cardiff. You know, when you sat down and watched the opening thing and it explains the little interactive story bit you're about to go on. Oh, man.
Oh,
bud.
They told us it was coming back and it hasn't yet. Yeah. I thought you were going to say, because when we went to see the Doctor Who prom or whatever it's called, they did a great montage of all the Doctors to that music, didn't they?
They did. It was amazing.
Such a great piece of music. Yeah. Someone asked, I was doing a live stream on Instagram a couple of nights back. A bit drunk. I'd come in from the pub and someone said, "Oh, can you play This Is Gallifrey?" Because I actually played the bit of music they just played. That we just played. Dun, 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 dun. I played that on the piano, a bit drunk, and then someone requested, now play This Is Gallifrey, and I went, I don't know that one. I must learn it. It's such a good piece of music. Also, Murray Gold, pull your blimmin' finger out. The BBC have said that it's him that's holding up the Series 10 soundtrack because he's still picking which songs to put on it. And so the good news is it looks like we are actually going to get to the Series 10 soundtrack, but we're waiting for Murray to deliver it, apparently. The BBC are, rather.
He's a busy man.
Well, I know he is. Yeah.
I assume so, unless he's just like Doctor Who was his retirement fund. I don't know, but...
Yeah, I'm sure he's very busy, yeah. I'm not going to say anymore. He just wasn't very nice when I met him in Australia, but anyway, well, he was all right.
He was all right.
He's a bit miserable, yeah. Anyway, pull your finger out, Murray.
Pull your finger out, mate. Yeah. Anyway, you're sad. Doctor Who experience. Sad times. Anyway, closing time.
Closing time.
It was first broadcast back in September of 2011. It was 45 minutes long, part of Series 6, obviously, written by Gareth Roberts. Written by Gareth Roberts. And Stephen Moffat is credited.
Little fingers in the pie.
Yeah, he's credited as the final scene.
Yeah.
Uncredited, if that makes sense.
You can tell a mile off, can't you?
Of course, yeah. So you won't see his name on the closing credits, but he is uncredited as the writer of that bit.
He was hovering behind Gareth Roberts all the time he's writing the script. Let's add this little bit in. Yeah.
With his glass of red wine and...
like a shadow over Gareth's back.
And it was directed by Steve Hughes. And the kind of story for this one is Craig. He's having a little bit of trouble with being a dad in this one. He's kind of... his wife... kind of runs the house and I think that's the point they're trying to make, that he's over the moon to be a dad, but he kind of relies on his wife to do most of the stuff. And so the last thing that he needs is the Doctor turning up and throwing, because he's babysitting for the weekend, he's sent his wife away to get some rest. The Doctor turns up and it looks like there's a trouble afoot. And so it's down to the Doctor and Craig to deal with some pesky cybernetic people that turn up in a shopping centre. Or underneath a shopping centre, should I say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Closing time. What you got?
So, right, I must admit, in my head, before I rewatched this the other night, I remember this not being very good. For me, in my memory, it was a bit of a filler story that went nowhere, and so I wasn't particularly excited about rewatching this one. I'll be honest with you, but actually, to my surprise, it's actually a really fun little episode. This, I think maybe because when I watched it back in the day, it's got all the build up to the Doctor being shot and all that, and it comes just before the final, and I think it just felt a bit anticlimactic to me back when it aired, if you know what I mean. It just didn't seem to fit with all the other stuff. But just watching it as a little standalone episode, it's a fun episode. It doesn't take itself too seriously. I wouldn't say it's great. I mean, when it finished, the Cybermen just seem a bit pointless in it. They're kind of just they're a bit villain of the week, if you like, monster of the week. But it, as a sort of story, I just think it's a bit of a fun watch. It almost reminds me of I almost feel like it could have been a Christmas special. Do you know what I mean? Because the tone is very lighthearted, pretty much all the way through. Like you sort of sometimes got with the Christmas specials, they have a different tone. This one doesn't sort of have a comedic moment, then serious comedic, like a lot of stories. It seems to have the same comedic tone pretty much all the way through, with the sort of banter between the Doctor and Craig. So for me, they really hold the story together. I like the Cybermat that we get, because I love the Cybermat, so I thought it was great that they come back. I don't know, it's not great. I mean, as I said, it's not, the Cybermen are completely wasted, really, and I'll come on to how much I hate the new series Cybermen later. But as just a sort of 45-minute bit of entertainment, I think the Doctor and Craig are really good in it. The script is sparkling with humour. I mean, it's a really fun script from Gareth Roberts. So yeah, it's okay. As I said, I can't say it's great, but I certainly did enjoy watching it. Yeah. So it's a sort of it's if you want to just, switch your mind off for 45 minutes and watch a bit of entertainment sort of episode. It's not going to be one that I reach for and say, oh, this is brilliant. You've got to, it's not a must see. It's not a utopia or anything like that, but it's a fun 45 minutes, I think, overall. Yeah. What do you think?
Yes, I think that I still think that this episode is a bit filler.
It does feel filler.
It's
definitely. I do agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a filler episode to me. And one thing that I'd forgotten from the episode is just how nice the script is. And I use the word nice as in to describe just the lovely friendship between the Doctor and Craig. Although it doesn't seem like that at first. Craig comes across as a bit, I can't be doing with this now. I've got more important things to be caring about. I can't be going off on an adventure with you right now. But then as the story develops, and it's really touching at the end when the Doctor tidies up all of his house and gets it all fixed up.
I loved that bit.
And he said, well, you haven't got long left. You took some hours out to do this for me. And he's like, yeah, we're mates now.
Yeah.
So the script is really lovely, and it's a really nice script. And when you watch stories like this, that does provide some justification, I think, for Series 11, in which they made the decision to not bring back some of the big classic monsters, the Cybermen being one of them, because it's very clear when you watch stories like this that they're kind of struggling with what to do with the Cybermen, because they're not in it very much at all. In fact, the Cybermat is in it more than the actual Cybermen. And of course, some of that is by design. However, when you're going to bring back a big, important monster like this, you do need to give them some substance, which lacks a lot in this story. Essentially, they're just there to provide a bit of a turning point for Craig, if you like, because he's doubting himself throughout the whole episode for two reasons, really. One, because his own self-doubt about being a dad, but the Doctor's constantly, because the Doctor does his thing like, I can speak baby, and he keeps saying things like, you're not mum or something like that, and all that stuff. So it's kind of like an initiation period almost for Craig to go through for his own baby, to his own child, to accept that, yeah, you're my dad and I feel safe with you and all that stuff. So the Cybermen are there just to provide that little bit of Craig's belief coming through.
Yeah.
And that's it really. It's not for their benefit at all. You could tell a mile off that, nothing was ever going to happen with the Cybermen. It was just a mechanism for Craig really. So you can see why in Series 11 they didn't want to just bring back Cybermen and Weeping Angels and Daleks and stuff all the time, because unless you've got an absolutely cracking script and a great story, there's just not a lot really you can do with them now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure there's lots of talented writers out there who have got amazing ideas for them, but at this point in Doctor Who, you just felt a little bit like, you were seeing these before now. It's getting a bit boring. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, that's the thing, and this is where I'm really conflicted with this one, is because the actual storyline itself isn't particularly great, but the script is really good, if that makes sense, in terms of the dialogue. So it's a strange one, isn't it? Because as I said, if the script hadn't been as sharp and fun in terms of the dialogue, for me, this story would have completely fell on its because the storyline really is quite weak. There's a couple of Cybermen underneath the shopping centre that do nothing, and they manage to capture Craig because they're investigating, and love saves the day. It's a pretty rubbish storyline, but as I said, it's saved by some fantastic dialogue, and I think the chemistry between Matt Smith and James Corden. Yeah. They absolutely saved the episode, and as I said, the actual dialogue they get is really good, but storyline wise, it's not good. The Cybermen do absolutely nothing at all. So I absolutely get what you mean. It feels like there is no, when they turn up, there is no, oh yes, it's the Cybermen. There's no sort of feeling like that. If anything, you're like, oh god, Cybermen, aren't you? It's no. Yeah. They don't bring anything to the story at all. Whereas the Cybermat kind of does, because it's the first time they've used the Cybermats, I think, since, probably in the new series, but probably Revenge of the Cybermen, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah? So,
Bitey.
So that's, Bitey. So that for me is a nice element to the story, if you like, because I thought that brings something a bit different to it. Because, I didn't feel any sort of, anything at all when the Cybermen were revealed. I mean, it's a good shot. That very beginning of the Cyberman with the big scratch across his face, that's pretty cool, but they don't do anything or bring anything to the story. So, but I do like the little Cyberman, Bitey. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yes.
So good script, but not great story, which sort of is conflicting, but that's just how I would describe it, really. Sparkling dialogue. In a pretty, yeah.
It's a very, it's an interesting episode because it really does feature, I mean, the two of them as a bit of a tag team, the Doctor and Craig. They are in it literally from start to finish, aren't they? They're in pretty much every scene. So there's none of this, the formula that they went through with Matt Smith's Doctor was very much the companions get separated to do something. And the Doctor goes off to do something, and they sort of converge at the end and save the day. So there's none of that with this, obviously, because there's no companions. So it's a very, by the end of the episode, you absolutely think, well, this can't be the end of the Doctor and Craig. This can't be the end of their friendship and their story, but it is. It's like the last time, isn't it, that we ever see Craig and stuff. So it's very weird because the Doctor is... It's a little bit like when Tennant, at the end of Time Part 2, where Tennant goes off and says goodbye to a few people. Mm-hmm. It does have that sort of vibe about it, but you obviously feel like that Matt Smith isn't going anywhere. We know that he's not ultimately about to die.
No,
you don't get that vibe. Whereas when Tennant did it, you knew that we were coming up very soon to his regeneration or his death, whatever. You got that vibe from the atmosphere and the storytelling. But with this one, although the threat is there, and Matt Smith does say that he hasn't got long and he's about to die and stuff, I still didn't really buy that. I always felt like, he'll be saved somehow. Something's going to save him, whatever. So you kind of, because it's like that vibe, like the farewell tour, the goodbyes, in the back of my mind, I thought Craig will be back. The chemistry is too good, and now that they're good mates and they've been through this adventure together, I always felt like he would be back. But yeah, it's strange they never revisited that, did they?
And also there's definitely enough legs in terms of the the story. I think if we'd have had a third story with the Doctor and Craig, I think that would have been good. Could have had a nice Craig trilogy. It's probably because James Corden became a really big chat show host in America. He probably didn't have time to film another one because he's quite big now over in the States, isn't he?
Very famous, yeah.
Very famous. Yeah. So I don't know, but for me personally, if they'd have done another one with Craig, I think I would have quite enjoyed it because I like both now. If you'd have asked me before a rewatch, I would have said Lodger I like, not so fond of Closing Time. Now I'm sort of still like the Lodger. Closing Time, not too bad actually. That's kind of how I feel about him, if you know what I mean. That it's a fun little watch, and I think there is great chemistry between those two. I get the feeling that James and Matt might be quite good friends off screen.
I think
because they're so natural. The way they bounce off each other with the dialogue seems very natural, and there does seem to be a genuine friendship between the two of them. So I think I'd like to think they were friends off screen as well, because they're just so good together. And I'd forgotten that that Amy and Rory, because of course it's so long since I've really gone back to Series 6. I can't remember why they're not in it. Does the Doctor just drop them off a couple of episodes before, or what? Because they do make a cameo in this, don't they?
They do. Yes.
So the God Complex is before this.
The God Complex.
Does he drop them off at the end of that? I really can't remember. But so they make a cameo, and they've become famous. Now I can't remember what all that is about at all. Because someone asked Amy for her autograph, but I mean Matt sells that scene, doesn't he? He gets really emotional, and you're sort of dying for him to go up and say hello, but he doesn't. He just sort of, hides and watches them from afar. But I can't remember what's going on there at all. I mean, it didn't really distract me too much, but I was sort of thinking, what? Why is Amy famous? Like, what's happened? She's like a model or something? There's a poster of her, isn't there?
Yeah, if you remember, I'm going to have to rack my brains a little bit here, but I think it's, if you remember, they, that was building up a little bit over the last few episodes about the Doctor leaving them behind. And if you remember, Amy and Rory have got their nice townhouse with the red convertible outside, and they've got their home life sorted out. And
I just can't remember, because it wasn't that long ago we watched the God Complex. I can't remember it ending with them. I thought it just ended with them going off in the TARDIS, but I'm sure people who know will be screaming at us now, saying, "Wow, this is what." But yeah, I just couldn't remember what all that was about, because it seemed a bit random in the episode. So in terms of watching it as standalone, I think that's a bit odd, that bit.
Yeah,
and obviously you get the end bit with River as well, which kind of leads into the finale and stuff. And I mean, that was pretty good. I mean, that, again, I'd completely forgotten about that. So I'm sat there thinking, right, episode's wrapped up now. Nice, really sentimental ending. Okay, not too bad. And then we get that last sort of 5-minute bit with River being put into the spacesuit. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I've forgotten about this. This is really good stuff. So this is where you find out it was River in the spacesuit. And I think we'd I seem to remember I'd sort of guessed by then, because that was the other good thing about the arc of this, wasn't it? It's trying to guess how the Doctor survives, who's in the spacesuit and all that stuff. So it brought back memories of that and thinking, oh, yeah, that was quite cool back in the day, trying to piece all this together. And Stephen was quite good at that, even if you didn't like the final answers. I think he was quite good at getting you to sort of try and second guess what he was going to do next and stuff. So I did like that bit, with Madam Corvarian or whatever her name is and all that stuff with River.
Madam
Corvarian, isn't it?
Corvarian, that's it. Yeah.
Something like that with the eye patch. So yeah, that was a cool little tag onto the episode, and as again, just brought back some good memories of watching this back in the day, sort of thing. Thinking, because it was quite exciting to go from that, and then you're sort of thinking, oh, how's it going to conclude? How's the Doctor going to survive? And what's Revel? So that was all pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I think it was in the episode before. Wasn't that the episode where she's in like a room that sort of brings out her worst fears or nightmares?
Oh, I've just remembered. So is that the one where her and Rory are sort of arguing in a makeup room or something?
Something like that, yeah. And
yeah.
It was the Minotaur prison.
Yeah.
You remember? And then the only way that the Doctor can free her from it is if he kind of just destroys the faith that she has in him. You know, so and then as a result of that, the Doctor's like, well, I can't put you through all this again. So here's the keys to a lovely house. Have a lovely life. You know,
of course,
I'm out of it.
It comes back to me now. Yeah.
So in a way, I mean, that to me is like the Moffat side of it. Like when the Doctor sees Amy and Rory in the shopping centre, and then he sees the big poster in the background of Amy. And what is it? It's a poster of like a perfume or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the tagline is something like, I don't know, for the girl who's tired of waiting.
Who waited? Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Very, very Moffat.
Very Moffat.
Really Moffat. So, and then the end scene that you mentioned as well with Madame Kavarian and the lead up into the finale of the series is again very Moff, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. And it worked well actually for me anyway, because if I think of Series 6, I don't know about you, but I sort of think, hard work is, I don't know. It's so long since I've gone back to it, but I don't know. When I see little moments like that, I think perhaps I should go back and just watch it from start to finish, because I think that's the thing with Stephen Moffat is he did very much think, like that. It's, I mean, you can look at that two ways. It did make some of his episodes really inaccessible for the casual viewer. But also, it was quite rewarding for those viewers that just wanted to go back and rewatch and then see, oh, okay, so that's why that happened, and he wrote that because. And so I don't know. I think I perhaps need to go back and reevaluate Series 6 at some point, because just seeing those little moments like that bit at the end sort of really sucked me in, and I didn't think it would, to be honest. I've not really been that bothered about going back to Series 6, but the more we delve into it and see these little bits, I'm thinking, I might do that actually.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've watched any of Series 6 for sure.
Yeah. But I think I need to watch it all rather than just dipping in, because I'm not sure some of the episodes work particularly well if you just watch them as a standalone. I don't know. I think I would just want to go back and watch it all. But I might do that. I want to get a spare.
Yeah, I think
100 hours.
100 hours, yeah. I think it's you're absolutely right. I think for the casual viewer, if this was the first time or the first episode, the first Matt Smith story you'd seen, those last few minutes you would be in absolute
you'd be like, what the?
Right tears, because it's got the silence there as well, and
which look great actually. I've forgotten how good they look.
Yeah, and then you've got this character called River Song who you know nothing about, Madame Kavarian, and then you've got the whole, they've wiped her memory somehow, and then it finishes with her in the astronaut suit under the lake.
It looked good, didn't it? It's good.
It worked
awesome. Good. Yeah, I was gonna say, I could tell that there was a bit of money thrown at Doc 2 back then, because it did. I mean, it seems like a budget episode as well. I think it's all filmed in that department store. I noticed the reuse of a couple of props that have been, like that thing the Cyberman's in. I think that's from the Christmas Carol, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I could be wrong. It just looks like it. And so it seems quite a budget-saving story, this one, to me. But then you get moments like that, but at the end you think, all right, they're probably saving the money for the final. But yeah, I think Series 6 had quite a bit of money on it. I mean, they went to America to film and stuff, didn't they? And it looked quite lavish from what I remember. Yeah,
I remember the production quality in Series 6 had taken a hike up from Series 5.
Definitely, yeah. I remember thinking that as well. I remember thinking, God, this show is really getting big now, and it's doing, they're putting some money into it, which was great, actually.
Yeah, because Series 5 looked good, don't get me wrong. It was a nice looking visually, but I remember in Series 6, they were definitely going more towards that cinematic feel, which they definitely played on in Series 7.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just looking at this. So God Complex was the story before this, which I'm not, I mean, I like it, but I'm not a massive, it's a bit of a mixed bag for me, God Complex, but it's quite a serious, strange episode, isn't it? So to go from that to this, it's a real change up of, the sort of way, of story. So this is so much more lighthearted and fun and silly. So in a way, that might be a good thing. As I said, if I'm watching this all again in order, that might be quite cool. It might be the episode you needed in between the very serious God complex and the big, finale, the Wedding of River Song, which again, can't remember anything really about that apart from the bit with the Doctor. But yeah, so maybe we needed this sort of fun, lighthearted thing in the middle, just as a bit of contrast. I don't know.
No, I agree. I definitely agree, because the God Complex and the Wedding of River Song are definitely heavy episodes to watch. There's a lot going on, and you kind of have to pay attention. You have to concentrate a bit more.
Is the Wedding of River Song the one? Because we haven't done that one, have we? No,
not yet.
Is that the one that starts with Churchill and Matt with the long hair and the beard, where it keeps resetting and stuff? Because if it is that, I just remember that drove me mad, the episode. The beginning of it, I just remember thinking, God, get on with the story. I don't know if I'm thinking of the right one though.
It's got Churchill and Charles Dickens and
I'm sure. I mean, again, I don't know if I've watched that since it aired, so my opinion of it may be very different when we come to review it and rewatch it. But I remember at the time just thinking, this is doing my head in. I remember not being a big fan of that one, but be interesting when we come to review it anyway. I kind of look forward to rewatching it actually, to see how this all plays out after watching this one. But I don't remember being a big fan of it. I don't know.
I know exactly what you mean though. Even though we haven't been the biggest fans of Series 6 over the years, watching this and the final few minutes going into the Wedding of River Song, it's definitely intriguing. It's definitely one of those.
Yeah.
I might have to set some time aside to go through Series 6 at some point. Definitely, yeah.
I will, because it's one of the least watched series. I mean, I've watched Series 5 a lot. I enjoy Series 5. And Series 7, although it's got some right clangers in there, and there are stories I like as well. But Series 6, I think because it's got this big arc pretty much all the way through, I think it always puts me off going back to it, if you know what I mean. I look at the episodes and I think, it isn't really one I feel like putting on just to watch, if you know what I mean. I think it is one you've got to devote time to.
Yes. So yeah. But going back to what you were saying about the change up in the pacing and stuff, I think it's definitely needed, because if you were to because the God Complex and the Wedding of River Song are so almost intense to the point where you really have to concentrate throughout the majority of those stories to just keep up with what's going on. This is the complete opposite. You can have this one on, and even if you miss a bit here and there, it sort of goes along. It's all. I'm not going to sort of relegate it to like a background episode where you can just have it on while you're, on the phone, or it's not that bad. But what I'm saying is there's no cognitive overload, if you like. It's just a dip in and out sort of story. You don't have to concentrate too much.
And I think, would you agree? It's one. It is a good one for a sort of a casual viewer. Like if your sort of mum or something was to come in while you're watching it, so you could probably watch this and find it quite fun and be like, oh, this, it's quite a watchable episode for anyone that's, you don't need any great knowledge of Doctor Who. They'd probably, most casual viewers, it'll be like, oh, and the Cybermen, they'd know what they were. You know what I mean? Whereas compare that to the God Complex. Imagine your mum or aunt coming and sitting next to you when you've got that on. They'd be like, oh, Doctor Who's very complicated, isn't it? But this one, they could sit and watch it. They've got all the banter between Craig and the Doctor and the baby stuff, and it is quite fun. I think so. It is probably needed. It may, this is. You're right. It's quite a serious, Series 6, isn't it? So has this one got the one where Amy's? See, I'm getting so muddled in my timeline as well. Is Series 6 the one where Amy's baby turns to slime? Is that Series 7? I'm so confused. No, that's Series 7, isn't it?
So that was the no, that was
Good Man Goes to War, I think.
I think so. Yes.
Which is Series 7, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So because I'm thinking Madam whatever her name is in part of that as well. So so actually so that follows on into the next series as well. So she's still kicking around, making appearances then. Madam, what's her name?
Kavarian. Yeah.
Kavarian, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I definitely need. I've got my whole. This is the thing with Moffat. I've got my whole timeline so muddled when I try and piece together what was going on with like Amy and Rory, and especially River Song. Her timeline, man. I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell you. But I like the fact though, even though I couldn't explain River Song to you, if you were to say right, go now. I love the fact that there'll be fans out there that could. There'll be fans out there that will have watched all of this over and over again, series 6, 7, they could tell you exactly how River fits into that story and this story and, Amy's story and everything, so there definitely is an audience for that type of thing. And I quite like that. I just don't have the, brain or what's the word to sort of do it. But I like it. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a bad thing that some of the stories were you had to concentrate. But I just think it's nice when we get a story like this that anybody could sit and watch.
No, I agree. Yeah, I think definitely need to put some time aside to do a proper Matt Smith like series 5 to 7 rewatch, because series 5's not too bad.
I like series 5.
It's pretty good actually. But series 6 and 7 there's definitely a lot of weight that you have to carry to go through those.
Well, if you'd have asked me before we started reviewing them which series, if I had to pick one to watch, series 6 or 7, I would have gone 7, I think, because of all the story arc stuff. I always sidelined series 6. But the more we go back and revisit series 6 episodes, the more I'm sort of thinking, I can't remember what this is about, but I'm really intrigued by it. So I don't know, maybe my opinion would change. And again, the more we watch series 7 episodes, the more they don't stand up to being as good or even half as good as I remember. Like Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, for example, I didn't think it was great on transmission, but when we reviewed it, it really wasn't that good at all, actually, So I'd be really interested to know, actually, if they were to ask Stephen Moffat now, if he was to reflect back on his time Doctor Who, I wonder which series he likes the best, or which series he's most proud of, because I wonder if series 6 is when he really got into his flow and just sort of did exactly what he wanted to do. So series 5, he introduces the new Doctor and he does that. And then series 6, I kind of feel like he went out and just did the heavy story arc and really did what he wanted to do. And then I feel like people criticize it, saying, oh, you're losing viewers because people can't understand it and it's too complicated. So then series 7, he goes back to more standalone stories, and maybe he kind of had to, be a bit more, had to sort of do a bit more what he thought people wanted rather than what he wanted to do. So I'd love to know, and then obviously we get the Capaldi stuff and all that. I'd love to know which series he really felt, he got it right and he did what he wanted to do, and which series he felt like he was pushed into doing what the viewer wanted more. And I hope he does a book. I know he said he won't. I'd love it if he did a writer's tale book like Russell, but I know he was asked that at an interview that I went to, BFI, I think. He said, no, I'm not going to do that, no.
Yeah, I remember somebody asking.
Yeah, I think you were with me, weren't you? Yeah, he said and we were like, oh no. It may have been you that asked. Can't remember. Anyway, he's not going to do one, which is a shame, because I'd love to know some of the stuff that was going on. I find him very interesting as a showrunner.
No, it is a shame. It's definitely... I'm really struggling to think what his answer would be as well, because he, I know that he's at those kind of events and stuff in Q&As, he's very frank and he's quite direct.
That's what I love about him.
But I think, I don't know, I think he would struggle himself to, I don't know, for some reason I get the feeling that the later part of his tenure as showrunner would be his least favourite, because it feels like he was under a lot of pressure then to deliver something, because the ratings were sort of slowly going down and that sort
and
of
also
thing.
he and if memory serves you right, he kind of wanted to leave after series 9, didn't he?
That's right.
Wasn't there a whole thing that he was persuaded to stay on for series 10, which makes you think like it was a series he kind of had to do rather than wanted to do. But actually, I really liked series 10. I've got a feeling he may have been asked this question, and I think he answered series 5. I think, but that may well have changed. You know what I mean? He might be looking back now thinking, actually, do you know what? Blah, blah, blah. Don't know. because time changes your opinion of things. As we know, reviewing these episodes, some stories I thought were dreadful, I've grown to really like, and vice versa. Some stories I thought were great, I've watched again and thought, oh gosh, that wasn't that good actually. So maybe his opinions changed of his time on the show as well. I'd love to know. I hope he does some more. Yeah, we need to get him back at the BFI with a bottle of red. And just gets it, because like you said, he's always very honest on stage. It's one of the things I love about Steven is he will tell you exactly what he's thinking, and he's not afraid to say otherwise. Get him and Capaldi on stage, that would be amazing, because again, Capaldi's like that, isn't he? He'll just say what he thinks.
He will. Yeah,
those two are great together, actually.
Very cool. Yeah. Okay, so before we whiz through some characters, then, you mentioned earlier about the Cybermen. So let's not beat around the bush. This is a supposed Cyberman story, so we have to talk about them a little bit. But as I mentioned at the beginning, I just feel like they were there just to enable something else in the story. The focus wasn't on them being threatening or taking over the world or anything. It seemed like they were defeated really easily and just
unbelievably easy. Yeah.
If even the bits where, I mean, in terms of performances, if we think back to one of the Tennant stories, what was the Cybermen story where
Age of Steel.
Jackie got captured along with someone else, and is it Age of Steel? It was, wasn't it?
I can't remember the other part's name. Age of Steel and I'm gonna have to Google it.
That one, yeah. There was a bit where even when the Cybermen were kind of marching towards you and doing that stuff, people were petrified. Was it Army of Ghosts?
That's it.
Was it Army of Ghosts and Age of Steel? Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
So even the bits where the Cybermen were just...
Rise of the Cybermen.
Oh, Rise.
Hang on. Is it?
Oh, I don't know. Let me Google it. Let me go.
What was the one you just said?
Army of Ghosts. Was that wrong, though?
That sounded right to me. Gosh. Losing the plot today. Army of Ghosts.
Yes, because that was the one where the Cybermen were kind of coming back through. Then people thought they were seeing ghosts.
I can hear listeners screaming at the...
Yeah, series 2, Army of Ghosts. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then it was followed up with Doomsday.
But you were on about the other two part. Or were you on about that one?
I think it was this one because...
this one with Tennant, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember quite a few scenes from this one. And then the next one where... Any mention like of the Cybermen, and Tennant's reaction was really fearful and like, this is really bad. And the scenes where the Cybermen, you saw them marching and stuff, people were just genuinely scared. But for some reason in this one, even when the Doctor's been sort of held there by the Cybermen and they can see Craig being put in the conversion thing and he's going to become the new cyber leader, which is also strange. I just didn't get the threat. The threat level just wasn't like Code Red like it was in the other ones. It was just like a mediocre, don't worry, it's all going to be fine. Just don't worry. And then the whole thing with Craig hearing his babies cry, and that prompted his, the power of love to break free of the Cybermen's mind control and stuff. I just didn't really buy into that whole Cybermen plan thing. I don't know about you, but...
No, not at all. No, I absolutely agree. I mean, the fact that the Cybermen have got like a little TV, monitor watching everything, thank good. And they just happen to be on the baby screaming. And just the whole love defeating them. And it did just seem to... In fact, I wasn't even sure what happened at first. Their heads just start blowing off. And I'm like, what? What's going on? I totally get the fact that hearing the baby might have stopped Craig being transformed somehow. Yeah, okay, I can just about get into that. But the rest of it, I'm not sure. But I absolutely hate the new series Cybermen, mate. Honestly, they really annoy me in this episode. And they're only in it for like 2 minutes, but the way they stomp in, they look ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, just give me the classic 80s Cybermen any day. And also, another thing, I hate the voice. I know it's Nick Briggs, but that's stupid. There's nothing. I don't like the design. I hate the way they stomp, and I hate their voices. So, I actually did really, for me, they're the sort of worst thing in this story, really. I don't even know why they're in it. Well, I know why they're in it, to have a monster in there, but I just don't like them. When they stomp in the room, I don't know why it irritates me so much, but it does. I'm just like, how on earth would they creep up on anybody? And it's ridiculous.
It's bad, really. And this is the problem, which is what I went back to earlier with Series 11, is that over the course of the year since 2005, when you have these stories that are just filler and just don't, all it does is dilute the threat of what these monsters actually used to be. They used to be really fearful and their plans were a lot grander and all that stuff. Whereas these guys, I mean, the thing I didn't get is they'd obviously created some kind of portal or some kind of magic door that was at the back of one of the changing rooms.
Yeah. That
led down into the crashed ship from like centuries ago, I think the Doctor said. So why didn't they just march up the path they created and go into the shopping centre and grab a load of people? There you go. There's another 50 Cybermen. 50 humans that you can convert into Cybermen and start building your army and all that stuff. Why were they just chilling out for centuries down
what were they doing down there?
In the ship? And I think the only cool thing about this episode was the Cybermat, because they had changed the design a little bit. And because you could see like these like actual teeth of an animal, it wasn't just like this little mechanical thing that they had made. You could see that this was some kind of creature at one point in time, and it had been converted into a little Cybermat. That's what I got anyway, the vibe I got.
Yeah. I do like the Cybermen, because again, they haven't really, if you look at the ones in Tomb of the Cybermen, because at first I was thinking, the teeth are a bit much, but then now I'm thinking actually no, because in Tomb of the Cybermen they had teeth, didn't they? So I actually do, for me, the Cybermat works quite well. I quite like him. It's reasonably scary because it really goes for your neck and stuff. So I have no problem with the Cybermat. I just, like you, feel no threat from the Cybermat. I don't know what they were doing down in that cave for all this time. They've managed to get 6 Cybermen, I think he says, or something. Or there's 6 Cybermen down there. I don't know what they're doing, having cups of cyber tea. But they're also the mirror, that when the Doctor finds the chute down to the dugout tunnel, down to the spaceship, he just opens the mirror up. I was thinking, wow, I can't, like, how easy is that? You know what I mean? Like, it would have been loads of people going, what's
down here?
What's down here? And so why have that lift which transports people into, I don't know. Yeah, that bit doesn't hold together in terms of the way.
It's a bit flaky.
It's a bit flaky, definitely.
Definitely. But yeah. So I think overall, I mean, we'll get on to some scores in a second, but I think overall for me, I think I'm really torn, because in one respect, it's a great episode for character stuff. That, like we said, the chemistry between the Doctor and Craig is really good, and it's funny, it's light-hearted, and there's loads of lovely little scenes, like the interactions with Doctor and Alfie as well, the little baby, and he prefers to be called Stormageddon, the Dark Lord of all, and Craig is like, is this real? I can't tell, and just the whole relationship they have, it's all really cool, and it's a great sort of buddy flick kind of episode, if you like. But then the other part of it is like, it's just bloody ridiculous. The Cybermen are get next to useless. They've been dormant down there where they could have been ruling the world by now, and it's the non-threatening, and I don't know. So
I know it is a mixed bag, definitely a mixed bag, this one. And it does feel filler. I think because the Cybermen are so weak in it, I think that's what makes the episode feel filler. Because by the end of it wraps up so quickly, the heads blow off, the spaceship blows up. It's just over in seconds, and I think that makes it feel very filler, which is a shame, because like I said, the actual dialogue in the script is really fun.
Yeah, that's the other thing I'm torn on as well, because sandwiched in between two very heavy emotionally and heavy episodes, it's kind of needed in a way. We need a bit of comic relief,
I think so.
I don't know. It's a strange one for sure. Let's rattle through a couple of quick characters then. So what did you think to Val, Linda Barron, who worked in the shop, very good friends with?
Oh, I like her. I thought, I recognise her as well. She's been in loads of stuff over the years, isn't she? As soon as I saw her, I'm sure she's in Torchwood. I'm sure she pops up in Torchwood. Got a feeling she turns into a zombie or something. I definitely recognise her. But I really like her. I love the fact that she mistakes them for a couple as well, and all that stuff. And that humour works pretty well, I think.
Yeah, she was in an episode of Doctor Who, Hartnell's era.
Was she?
Yeah, as a young'un.
Which one?
She was one of the backing singers, I think, in the Gunfighters.
My word.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Back in 1966.
Okay. She's done Open All Hours. Oh, yeah, that's it. Open All Hours, that's it. Couldn't think, because she was in that for years, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Last of Summer Wine.
Yeah.
The Bill.
The Bill, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Take that for Dinner Ladies, Coronation Street, Casualty, EastEnders. She's done loads.
Loads and loads, mate.
Yeah, but I thought she was good. A nice character, and she fitted in really well in that department store theme and stuff. And
yeah. And it was kind of also plugging home the issue that, it's completely fine to be gay, two guys being a couple with a baby and stuff. And because sometimes, especially when television, as you go rewind through the years, there's a bit of stigma around gay couples and stuff. And normally the older generation are the ones that are a little bit sort of set in their ways and sort of not as quick to accept that kind of thing. If you go back a few years, it's normally the older people, but she's like she loves it. She thinks it's all cute and two guys together. And, so I really like her character, how she was, the interactions between the Doctor and Craig. And
actually, it's funny you say that, because I did as well. I loved her character, but you're saying about sort of going back in TV and stuff. I mean, this is only, what year is this? 2011. Yeah. So 8 years. Because there is a scene where Matt's in the women's underwear department, and she's like, "You're a pervert. You're disgusting." I was thinking, actually, probably wouldn't do that now, because it would be seen as being sort of, I don't know, wrong, wouldn't it? To sort of call, because. It's it's more accepted now that guys can wear women's clothes and stuff. And what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not transphobic. That's something different, but you know what I mean. So I was thinking there might be people that might turn a sort of, an eye up to that, saying, well, that's a bit wrong. Because even I thought it does seem a bit, the security guard's going to throw him out, and that seemed a little OTT.
Right,
and perhaps they would do that differently now, sort of thing. Especially as I know Gareth Roberts gets himself into a lot of trouble on Twitter with some of his views and these things. And I thought, I don't think they would. I don't know. I just don't think they would have done that now, where the security guard's like calling him a pervert and stuff.
Yeah, there's also a scene between the Doctor and Craig, isn't there, when they're about to be in the teleport scene, and he doesn't want Craig to turn around and see.
Oh yeah,
where they are, and he's like, "I'm going to kiss you," and and he's actually falling for it a little bit, isn't he? He's like.
I did find that really funny.
He's into it, yeah. He's like, actually,
are you?
And then he sort of gets swept away with it, doesn't he? He's like, actually, it wouldn't be too bad, a little peck from the doctor. Yeah. So
I was like, no, I see what you're doing. Yeah, no, I thought that was a lovely little scene, actually.
Yeah.
There is a scene I loved. I'm going to come to it when we get to the actor, though.
What do you think to the little cameo from Rory and Amy then? So obviously a speechless cameo.
Yeah, not many lines from Rory. Actually, or Amy. Yeah. Well, it's nice to see him pop up just to remind us they're still around. I'm more like, nothing wrong with their performance. They're only in it for seconds, but I just like the Doctor's reaction, the way he's like, you can see that Matt's dying to go over and
I was going to say, yeah.
But he holds it back, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's more his reaction that's the good bit about that scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. What do you think to the two people that work in the shop then, other than Val? So we had the young girl who works in the...
Yeah, I thought they were okay. They were a little bit part acting, weren't they? They were a bit... they weren't that convincing. I mean, again, it's a light-hearted episode, so it doesn't really bother me at all, but I wouldn't say they were the best of actors. But they weren't bad. They were all right.
They weren't bad.
No.
Not too bad. Okay, what do you think to Craig's wife then? She's only in it for a little bit at the beginning and the end. But
Sophie?
Yeah, she's really cool. It must just be something about James Corden. He just sort of kind of, I don't know, he just seems to have really good chemistry with the other actors that he's with. But yeah, there's lovely little scenes between him and his missus at the beginning and the end.
Yeah, she's cool. And I've seen her pop up in loads of things as well, because she's got quite a distinctive look. Daisy Haggard,
yeah.
Haggard. Yeah, not Haggard. So terrible. But yeah, no, she's cool. And I don't know why I'd got it in my head that it was a different girlfriend in this episode. I don't know why I thought that, because it is the same girl from The Lodger, isn't it? It's the same person, same character. I think maybe I was getting confused because they're in a different house in this one, and I remembered something was different. And that is a lovely, because that line of, oh, you've redecorated, I don't like it has been used a couple of times now in Doctor Who. But for me, it really works well in this one. I love it when Matt's Doctor's on the doorstep. He's like, oh, you've redecorated. I don't like it. I think he delivers it really well, actually. But yeah, it was nice to see her pop up. I'm really glad they got the same actress back to do the same part. It just adds to the continuity. It's nice to see that her and Craig are still together, if you like, and they've got the baby. So for me, it does work as a nice sequel. Just getting all those little continuities back and stuff.
Yeah, there is some extra content with those guys, with Sophie and Craig, as part of the Series 6 that went out when they released it as the box set and so on.
Oh, right.
There was like a collection of little mini episodes under the title Night and the Doctor.
Oh, right.
And their one was called Up All Night, and it's not very long, but it's a nice little, because they did these prequels now and then, didn't they? That went out just online and stuff. So it was in the same sort of vein. It's not very long. It's only a little thing, but that's part of the Series 6 box set.
Oh, cool.
It's worth a little watch. Yeah, but she's very cool though. I like her.
Yeah, I liked her. I thought she was a good little character. Yeah.
What do you reckon to River Song? Only in it for a very short amount of time, as always, but
she is, and yeah, she's only in it for good. It's a good scene. It's a great scene of her being put in the spacesuit, but and I do like Alex Kingston, but I'm not sure she was. It seemed like she'd literally just arrived on set. I don't know that her performance was as good as I've seen her in other episodes. I know she's only in that short scene, but she's sort of looking scared and what's going on, and I don't know. I think she probably could have done with having another take, really. But I'm not saying she's bad, but do you know what I mean? It did seem a little bit like
she's.
If I'd have been the director, I'd have been like, can we just have a little bit more fear, Alex? A little bit more, but you're going to be put in a space, so a bit more scared, because she just looks a little bit like, oh, well, what? I don't know. She didn't sell it to me as well as I think she could have.
I'll read you.
But still good. But I don't know. Just not as good as I know she can be. But she's only in it for minutes, so I'm probably being a bit harsh saying that. But yeah,
no, I agree.
Yeah.
And then Frances Barber, Madame Kavarian. I love the way she really sort of scornfully calls her Melody Pond, and very good character.
Yeah, I think she's pretty good actually. Well, yeah.
Okay, what about James Corden then as Craig?
I think he's great actually. I think he plays the character really well. I've really warmed to him really warmed to Craig. I think he gives a really nice performance, and I said earlier on that the chemistry between him and Matt is bang on. I really do like the character. If he'd have come back for another one, I would have been pleased to see him. And I think he delivers the humour really well as all the other stuff. I think he's actually quite a good little actor, James Corden. I think a lot of people write him off and say, oh, I can't stand him and he's arrogant. No, I personally disagree. I really like him. I think he played Craig really well. I did meet him a long time ago actually. He was in a play, probably 8 or 9 years ago. And I've got to say, I can only speak from how I find, and he was absolutely delightful when I met him. I met him at the stage door. I had a picture with him, and the picture didn't come out very good because of the flash. And I sort of thought, oh no, do I dare ask him for another? I don't want to bother him, because he was getting quite a lot of attention. And I did. And he was oh, of course, dude, come on. And he was just lovely. So I don't know, maybe Hollywood's changed him. I don't know. But all I can say is he was very nice when I met him. And I do think he's a good little actor, and I think he plays Craig really well. So no complaints at all. In fact, I think he really holds this episode together, actually, him and Matt, in terms of their performance.
Absolutely, yeah. I agree with you. He is a good actor in these. And what's interesting is that with The Lodger, in my opinion, that was a much darker, scarier story.
I still prefer The Lodger.
Yeah, yeah. But even though that was a completely different tone, that story. Compared to this one, which is a lot more lighthearted, he's still the same. He's still very consistent as the character, if that makes sense. You can tell that there's been a natural progression with his character, because he's now a dad and he feels like he's got more responsibility now and so on. But the essence of his character is still there, regardless of which episode you watch. So,
yeah, that is a really nice progression. You're right. Yeah, with the whole father thing. Yeah, and absolutely sells that really well.
Yes. And Mr. Smith, the Doctor.
I think he's great in this, actually. I couldn't help but feeling Matt looked a little pale and thin in this. I don't know if it's just because I don't know. He just, when he turns up at the door, I thought, God, he looks white. He's a ghost. I don't know. He just looked, and also he's wearing that big long coat that just makes him look so thin. But I think Matt's great in this. Again, the humour that he has to deliver, all the stuff of his doctor working in a shop, just absolutely suits him down to the ground. I know some people will say, and I will agree, because people tell us off for moaning about the 13th Doctor waving a Sonic. I know we mention it a lot. So I will just mention that Matt's Doctor does overuse the Sonic. I mean, that's just, he does. I'm not going to say otherwise. Even though I love his Doctor, even I get a bit annoyed that he uses that blimmin' Sonic all the time. But yeah, I think he's great in this. And the scene I absolutely love, and he does use the Sonic in it, which is why I mention it. But I think the scene when he's talking to the baby in his room, and he says, "Oh, something about the stars," and he uses the Sonic to make the stars turn into like a night sky. What a beautiful scene!
Lovely.
I mean, and Matt is so good at delivering that sort of stuff. So I think he's brilliant in it. And as I said, he just bounces so well off Corden. Those two together, they're just a great team. Really, really watchable. Really fun.
Yes, no, I agree. I think what you said about him looking really pale and thin, I thought he looked tired as well, because
he just, I don't know, he just looked a bit gone, I thought, in this one. I don't know.
Well, remember, this is towards the end of the production block now for Series 6. So as we know, the role of the Doctor is really demanding on any actor. You remember when Peter Capaldi used to come up to the end of his production block?
He looked
like he hadn't slept in a month. We probably hadn't.
Yeah, he actually said as much, didn't he? He's
So I think
it's a grueling schedule.
Exactly, yes. I think for any lead, anyone that's playing the Doctor will know that when you get to the end of the series, you probably are so knackered. That's why I think I didn't really notice he looked pale and thin, but I more noticed that he just looked really tired. To me.
Well, I'm just looking at, according to Wikipedia, which of course never lies, so we'll take it as truth. But according to Wikipedia, it says that they had to film this obviously at night in the store, whatever store they used, and it said sometimes the filming went on to 6 a.m, as did filming at the house. So it sounds like they were filming, all through the night till 6 a.m. So no wonder he looked blimmin' tired, if that's true. But I don't know. I thought his performance absolutely delivered it brilliantly. But I did think he looked a bit washed out, bless him. You could sort of tell the filming might have been taking its toll on him at the time. Yeah. No, just thinking about how he looked when I met him at the LFCC, just so healthy, and he's put on, when I say put on a bit of weight, he's filled out a bit in a good way. He looks a lot healthier now. I think he's very young back then, isn't he? He's very skinny. And how old was he when he was a Doctor? He's really young.
I think he was young, very young still.
Yeah. He's been to the gym a bit since, and he sort of filled himself out a bit, and he looks very healthy now. But I just thought he looked, I could tell he's young and thin and needs a good meal. If I was his mum, I'd be sort of saying, get some greens down you, build yourself up a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, but every time we have to go back and watch a Matt Smith episode for review. Yeah, I think I just fall in love with his Doctor a little tiny bit more every time, because, he's just, I don't know. It's just something about how he puts his lines across, and I don't know. He's just got a natural quirkiness about him as well that helps, and he's just, And,
you mentioned the scene at the end when he cleans the house up. It's so delightful, isn't it? And the way he just delivers all those lines, the more I watch him, the more I think he's my favourite new series Doctor. If you want to say, I count it all as one, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Since the show come back, I always struggle to put the Doctors in order, but my word, Matt is up there. I adore him as the Doctor.
He's amazing.
I really do think he is. I get quite a bit like people do with 13. When people are defending 13, and as someone who's not a fan of her yet, I just can't see it, and I want to see it. And like, you know, these people love 13, and I wish I could see what they see in her, sort of thing. I get the same when people are criticizing Matt. Like, I got a friend who ranks him as one of the worst Doctors, and I'm like screaming in my head, thinking, how can you say that? He's amazing, you know. Just watch him. He's so good. And so I mean, I just feel like that about him. I feel quite sort of defensive in a way, because I do think he's brilliant. You know, I think he's got the charm of Troughton. I know people compare him probably too much to Troughton's Doctor, but he's got this sort of quirkiness about him, which absolutely, to me, is the Doctor. And to me, Matt just really tunes into that quirky side of the Doctor, which I love. So yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I could go on for hours. I just think he's brilliant as a Doctor.
No, I completely agree, mate. He's a brilliant Doctor. Yeah. Anything else you want to mention before we slap a score on this one?
No, I don't think so, man. I think we've pretty much covered it. Yeah, I'm looking at my list. I haven't got anything.
It's you to go first, I believe.
Rightio. It's quite a difficult one for me to score, I'll be honest with you, because I am torn. As I said right at the start of the review, I am really torn, actually, between the fact it's not a great story, but it is a great script in terms of the dialogue. It is fun to watch. I kind of wish you were going first. I'm going to give it I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I might be going slightly high there. I'm sort of between 6.5 and 7. But I'm going to go for a 7. I do think it's a fun watch.
7, okay.
But it could have easily been an 8 if they'd have just sorted the Cybermen out a bit, I think. I don't know. What are you going for? I don't know. 7. Yeah, 7 for me. What are you going for?
Yeah, so I'm exactly the same. I was very torn. Yeah.
Oh, right.
In that there's some of it that I absolutely love. It's mainly the characters. It's the Doctor and Craig that I love, and some of that lovely stuff. But at the same, on the other side of the coin, it's just a completely, I wouldn't say it's a forgettable episode, but it does, I don't know.
It does have that filler feeling. I know it does. Yeah.
So my initial thought was I was going to give this a 6.5. That was my initial thought. And I'm going to stick to my guns.
All right.
I'm going to stick to my guns on that one and give it a 6.5. And it's really those bloody Cybermen that have brought the score down, to be honest with you. I really get the feeling that Craig could have had some real big tear-ups with the Cybermen throughout the story. And the threat level could have been a lot higher. But, you know, there we are.
No, I'm kind of glad you went 6.5, because that, I'll be honest with you, that is what I originally wrote down. When the episode ended, I wrote 6.5. And it's just, I don't know, to me, I just think, I don't know. I did enjoy watching it, so that's why I've gone up to 7. So I reckon we're about right. Between the two of us, I think we're about right there.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
What did our lovely listeners think? We had a whole batch of audio reviews in this week, which is awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Great.
Yeah. So we're going to kick off with our regular reviewer from Dan Anna. This is Sammy Satine.
G'day, Gary and Adam. Sammy Satine here. So, closing time. Well, I liked the part where the Doctor works in the shop, selling toys to kids. Also, when he talks to Alfie about the stars and his interactions with Val. I like Val. I also like the Doctor's coat. It's a nice, long green coat. I like the design of the Cybermat too. I just don't know how I feel about this episode. It's not terrible. There are far, far worse episodes than this. Health bent. But there are also much better ones. I give it 6 Cybermats out of 10, I think. See ya.
A 6 from Sammy.
6 from Sammy, yes. You need to get some cough medicine, Sammy.
I think so, yes.
Some cough mixture.
Yes. We've got a couple of first-time audio reviewers. So let's kick off with Luke Malloy.
Hello, Gary and Adam. It's Luke here. I may be a new speaker, but I've been listening to your podcast, new and old, in work, every day for the last couple of months, and I'm enjoying them so much, I thought, right, got to get involved. Anyway, to closing time. It's a good but forgettable little nugget of an episode. I love the Cybermat sequence with Smith in his brilliant green coat leaping through the glass and whacking it with the pan and all that. But it says a lot about the Cybermen, that their Cybermat, their pet, is much scarier and effective than them. I like that moment where the Doctor sees Amy and Rory and Smith plays that heartbreak to perfection. God, I love Matt Smith. That last scene with the kids commenting on the Doctor and his hat, I absolutely love. I think it's a great lead into the When the River song. It's just a shame that story is a bit of a mess. The rest of the episode is just stuffed with hooey candy floss, but hey, who doesn't like candy floss? It's a 6 out of 10 for me.
A 6? And we agree about the Cybermats, yes. Yeah, thanks, Luke. That's awesome.
Absolutely, yes. Next reviewer, I can't remember if this is a first time or not. So welcome if it's a first time. If not, welcome back if you've done it before. But this is Callum Shepley.
Closing Time is probably the best Matt Smith story. The interactions between the Doctor, Craig, and Stormageddon are great. I think they have a great relationship. It kind of makes me wish Craig could become a companion full time. The Cybermen are okay in this. They are very, very unthreatening to me, I think. It's nice to see the return of the Cybermats, though. I would love to see them more again. I love the Cybermats as just a concept, really. And, I think I've got to give this a 6 out of 10. Bye.
A 6?
A 6 there, yeah, cool.
Common score so far. Thank you very much, Callum. This is a recently jumped on the audio review train reviewer. This is Matt Steele.
Hi, Gary and Adam. Matt Steele here again. Hope you guys are well. Had a good week. So this is my review of Closing Time. I love this episode. Yeah, I think Matt Smith is excellent, as always. James Corden, really good. I think they bounce off each other and work well together in this episode. Lillian Barron, well acted, and I think she's in Come Outside, show from my childhood. I think that was nice to see. There's a lot of humour in this episode with stuff like, people talk to you with a baby, that's why I usually take a human with me. And it's not rat, it's a Cybermat. The speech the Doctor gave to Alfie I thought was heartwarming and funny at the same time. My criticisms would be, I think the Sonic seemed overused, and the CGI that came with it was really bad. The Cybermen were unthreatening yet again. The most threatening part was when the Cybermat nearly ate James Corden, and a very quick ending from the Moffat again, but I suppose it is Series 6, so what can you do? But I do love this episode. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Have a good week. I'll see you again.
8.5.
Cheers, Matt. Yeah.
Wowzers. Yeah.
He liked it. That's good. We agree about the Sonic. A little bit too much. But that's just, Matt's ear is full of that.
Indeedy. Yes, thank you very much, Matt. Returning reviewer. This is Martin Arnold.
Closing Time, Let's Be Avenue. Oi, oi. Hello, everybody. I quite like this episode, actually. I didn't like the Lodger that much. I thought it was, kind of silly. But this one actually really works. I think you have to watch it in the context of the whole season, which may or may not appeal to some people because season 6 is kind of weird. But I actually quite like it. It sits nicely in the schedule just before the big finale, and it's quite a nice little story. There's some very nice scenes of the Doctor when he's away from Amy and Rory, and he's sort of, I don't know, he's just sort of naive and just being kind of charming, and his sort of relationship with Craig is quite endearing. I think it's done very well. I think this story, of course, is sold by Matt Smith. I'm not a huge James Corden fan, but he does his thing quite well. It's just a nice, fun episode, so I give this a 7 out of 10. Cheers.
7.
Oi, oi. Cheers, mine.
Cheers, thank you very much. And then the last one, this is another newbie to the audio reviews. This is Kieran Egan.
When I first watched this episode on broadcast, I remember really disliking it and not really having a desire to go back to it. But thanks to the podcast, I've had a chance to go back and I actually really enjoyed it. The chemistry between Smith and Corden is actually quite great, and I wish there was more of Corden in the series as a whole, because I actually think I would have preferred him as more of a long-term companion than Clara or Nardole. That's probably because I don't really like them too much. I really like Stormageddon in there because I think it's interesting the way the Doctor can stop him crying. Kind of reminds me that he's had his own children and grandchildren in the past, so he must have had plenty of experience with this. I think the Cybermen were wasted a bit. I think they were kind of just put in as an afterthought, which is a shame. Linda Barron being in there was so great, reminded me of my childhood, because she was in Come Outside. She was like the ethereal grandmother I never really had, so it was nice to see her. As a whole, I'm actually happy I went back to this episode. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to going back to more, thanks to the podcast. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to listening to the pod.
Nice one, Kieran.
I love it when that happens. I absolutely love it when and speaking for myself, so when you think an episode, I wasn't particularly excited about rewatching this, to be honest, but I'm really glad we do this because I enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, I'm glad you had the same experience.
Yes,
and the shushing thing's so cool, isn't it? The doctor's like, I forgot to say that in the review when he's like telling the baby shh, and then he does it to the shop assistant at the end, and he does it to James Corden. It's really nice.
It is, yeah, and that's one of the things that I love as well about our podcast. If we've inspired somebody to go and rewatch stuff or watch stuff they haven't seen before, that's mission accomplished.
Yeah,
in some
definitely.
respect. Yeah, very cool. Thank you very much, guys, for sending in your audio clips. Absolutely love playing your clips on the show and hearing your voices and stuff. Very, very cool. Thank you. We're going to run through a couple of these other social ones over on Twitter. Jack Houveneer says, I love this return of Craig. Amy and Rory make a cameo, but I'm happy that the Doctor is the main focus. It's a solid Cyberman story. Jack. And gives us a great sequel to The Lodger. It gives it an 8 out of 10.
8? Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Rob Kelly. This is a fun adventure in a rather unfun series that recaptures the magic of its predecessor, The Lodger, but also stands alone as a great story. Thumbs up. Neil Brighter Moon, one of mine and my family's favourites. It's just an incredibly fun episode, a good story with something for everyone to enjoy. My kids love it. The Craig-Doctor relationship is a highlight in Smith's era for me. Gives it an 8 out of 10. Lewis Blackmore. A really solid sequel to The Lodger and one that I thoroughly enjoy. Although the Cybermen aren't really the focus in this one, they're also great. Love the Doctor and Craig's relationship. 7 out of 10. Nathan, Silent Nerd, C137. This story is severely underrated. It's great to see Craig back, and I love him for him to return at some point in the future. The two standout scenes for me are when the Doctor is talking to Alfie about the stars, and when he's telling Craig that he's going to die. Sad face. 9 out of 10. One of our writers, Jordan Shortman, says, it's all right, never been a favourite, but certainly not the worst in Series 6 had to offer. I like Craig and the Cybermen are always great. Matt Smith does a nice performance, but the highlight is the return of the Cybermats. Otherwise, it's okay. Nothing special, just okay. Blair Donnelly says, I really enjoyed the episode, The Lodger. So when we got another Dr. Craig episode, I was thrilled. Chemistry is great. Really enjoyed the comedy, and seeing the Cybermats again was nostalgic. 7 out of 10. Would have been an 8 had the Doctor had called upon a soccer rematch.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Genesis of Andrazani says, by far the worst Cyberman story of New Who. I really like The Lodger, but closing time just doesn't work as well as that one did. The comedy is sometimes all right, but often very cringeworthy. James Corden beating the Cybermen with the power of love is a cardinal sin. A 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I must agree about the defeating bit, but yeah.
Oh, dear. The Who Society says, I really dislike the way they use the Cybermen a laughingstock. And defeating them with love? Nope. Corden and Matt work brilliantly once again. Some really enjoyable moments, but the episode is a bit messy. Although I have to admit, I love the cliffhanger at the end. A 5.5. Sarah, the Running Whovian, says, this episode has everything. I love the humour between the Doctor and Craig, but also the poignant and reflective moments. Buzzing lights and missing people alongside Cybermen and Cybermat made for a creepy story, and the leap through the glass door put me in mind of the third Doctor. And she gives it an 8.5.
Oh, cool. Nice one, Sam.
And Sir Jake B says, a bit filler, basically the Lodger, but with Cybermen, and the Cybermen are pointless. So 5 out of 10.
Oh, dear.
That's it for Twitter. Over on Facebook, Lawrence Baxter says, nice, jaunty episode. I wouldn't necessarily say light-hearted because there are a few dark bits, but it feels like we're heading towards a serious finale.
It does.
I like the Matt Smith-JC chemistry and relationship, and the story is good. I found the Amy walk-on a bit odd because it gives the impression we and the Doctor haven't seen her for ages, where it was only the week before.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Otherwise, a solid 7 out of 10.
7.
Lou Gallagher, nice light-hearted and comedic moments throughout, and Smith and Corden have undeniable chemistry, but I would have rather this be more of a character piece than shoving the Cybermen in. They're the most underwhelming they've been in New Who here. The resolution is just too easy. Goes on to give it a 6 out of 10. Luke East, I quite like this one. Lots of humorous bits with the occasional hint of powerful emotion. All in all, pretty solid story. Not to mention the Doc's awesome coat and the return of the Cybermats. Brilliant.
Yes.
Kieran Egan. Sorry, he's just asking about where to send his audio clip in. You've already done that. Thank you very much, Kieran. Charlie Turner, a pretty decent episode, but whose idea was it to make the Cybermen defeated by love? Seriously, who thought that was a good idea?
Gareth Roberts, probably.
Nice to see Craig again, even if he was unneeded. And the actress, can't remember the name, sorry, who played Auntie Mabel on Come Outside back in the day, acting as a different character, is likeable pretty much in every way. Nice return of the Cybermats too. Closing Time gets a solid 6 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Adamson says, Closing Time is an interesting story. Whilst the setup is good, I feel the resolution is lacking. I didn't watch this on original broadcast because I was sick of the arc of Series 6.
Oh.
But looking back, this is a nice breather in the series. James Corden is great, and I wish they'd done the proposed third story with him in Series 7.
Oh, was there a proposed? Oh, right. Wonder what that was then. One. Yeah. No, I didn't know.
Overall, gives it a 7 out of 10. And Zach Jenkin, short and sweet, says, pretty decent episode. I can't stand James Corden, though, but does give it an 8 out of 10.
Awesome
stuff. Thank you so much, guys, for sending in your audio clips and your reviews on Twitter and Facebook really well. It gives us a really good picture of how fandom's looking at these episodes and stuff. So very, very cool indeed. Next week, buddy, it's SJA. What have we got?
Yay, Sarah Jane next week. So The Temptation of Sarah Jane Smith next week. Now, does this lead on, was she looking at a photograph of her dad or something in the last one?
Yes.
So this seems to pick up from there, I'm guessing.
It does, I think. Yes.
Yeah. Was it her dad? I can't remember, but yes, I'm looking forward to a bit more SJA.
Yeah, it was a photograph of her parents that she took out at the end of the last one. The mark of the Berserker. Yes. So that's going to be good. Get your DVDs watched for that, because we'll be asking for your reviews and stuff as always. And I think we'll close there for 226.
All righty.
Thank you so much for sticking with us and listening to episode 226. It's been awesome having you as always. Next week, it's the Sarah Jane Adventures, The Temptation of Sarah Jane Smith. Get that DVD watched. We'll be asking for your thoughts on that as always. In the meantime, head over to our website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our shows on there. Plus, you can link off to the various podcast networks where you can subscribe to the show. So when it lands on a Friday morning, it's already there and you're rocking and rolling, ready to go. The biggest one being iTunes. And if you are an iTunes user, if you could spare a minute for a review, that would be amazing, because that helps us. Lots and lots and lots. There's also buttons there to link off to the various social networks. Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Give us a like and a follow on there as we chat plenty of Doctor Who during the week. Also check out my co-host's channel on YouTube, The Geeks Handbag. Plenty of awesome videos over there. Just go over to YouTube, do a search for The Geeks Handbag, give him a sub, watch a bunch of his videos and drop likes and whatnot over there. Some really cool stuff if you're into your unboxings, your reviews, on-the-spot reviews, location visits, competitions, the whole lot. Adam's got everything over there. Go and check him out. And also the social networks, Adam's on all of those under the same name, The Geeks Handbag. So give him a like and we can all have a chat. We've got a great community around Adam's channel and the podcast. Loads of cool people.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Indeed.
Until next time for episode 227. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...